Hey friend, welcome back to Chronic Health Solutions. Okay, let's talk about this for a minute. Maybe you have been trying to get healthier, trying to lose weight. Maybe you have swapped out meals for healthier options. You've cut calories. You've been moving your body more, maybe even just trying some of those trendy resets. But you are finding that your energy is still low, your body feels stuck, and it is feeling impossible to lose weight. Here's the truth. It can feel like your body is broken when you're doing all of the things that you know to be right or that you think are right, and nothing is happening. You're not getting any results. But it could be that your body is looking for something else, and that could be balancing your blood sugar. This can often be a missing piece for moms who are dealing with chronic symptoms. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Chronic Health Solutions. If you're more than just a tired mom, I'm talking trying to make it through the day without crashing by noon, you're not alone. I'm Ashley, a wife, mom, and certified health coach. I have been where you are, battling chronic health symptoms and chronic illness, things like brain fog, joint pain, and fatigue that made me wonder if I'd ever feel like myself again. After uncovering root causes like stress, poor sleep, and hormone imbalance, I found simple health routines to begin to feel better, one simple habit at a time. Keeping up with your kids is not impossible. Pop in your earbuds and take a break from the chaos. It's you time. You don't need another complicated health plan. What you need are small, realistic steps that fit into your everyday life. In a one-on-one chronic health coaching session, we're going to focus on 1 to 2 areas of my core Power 9 healthy foundational habits, and we're going to then create anchoring routines out of those micro habits that are going to bring you relief and help you to start feeling better. Walk away with a routine that's going to help you to feel more present, to feel less anxious, and to feel more in control of your health and also better able to show up for your family without adding more overwhelm to your plate. To find the details, you can go to ashleybraden.com/coaching. That's ASHLEYBRADEN.com/COACHING. Or you can check the link in the show notes below. I'll see you soon. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about this. I have been on a journey for a couple of years of trying to work towards really keeping any kind of insulin resistance in check with my body, working on keeping my blood sugar stabilized. And so for me, this has really helped a lot with my not having those hypoglycemia crashes that I used to have all the time. It also has meant that I have typically more stable energy whenever I am really consistent with these habits and activities that I have been trying to do. And the great thing is I kind of went on this deep dive for a while of trying to figure out all these different ways to help to balance my blood sugar and reverse any kind of insulin resistance. And so I've had a lot of different routines or tips or things that I've tried, and I'm going to share a few of them with you today. I will share a couple of others at another episode probably, because I think there are just so many cool things that we can do that are these small little habits or tweaks that can make a really big impact. And that is what I noticed for myself is once I started doing some of these, again, was feeling so much better, more stable energy, wasn't getting those like afternoon crashes or brain fog, anything like that. Felt like I had enough energy to get all the way through the day, not needing to take a nap halfway before. And then also not getting those like what I call hangry episodes where my blood sugar would crash and then I would be so angry and irritable until I could get something to eat. And often for me, because it would get so low, that would end up meaning I would crave something sugary, which would then spike my blood sugar back up again, and we would just do this vicious cycle. So really being able to break free from so much of that has been really helpful for me. And I want to talk a little bit about what's going on when we're looking at our blood sugar. So every time we're eating anything, and often even if we're drinking something that has the potential to spike our blood sugar, what happens is that our body turns that food into glucose, and then insulin is going to help to move that glucose or the sugar into the cells to create energy. But oftentimes for moms who are dealing with chronic health issues, you have days that are full of stress, maybe late nights, maybe you're doing grab and go meals, and these all can really overload your system. Over time, when we continue to do this cycle, these cells will stop responding properly, which is what we call insulin resistance. And when that happens, your body will then start storing fat instead of burning it. So this is what your day to day could possibly look like and kind of give you an example of what is happening to cause this. You might be having chronic stress This could be over juggling stuff with the kids. It could be over feeling bad. It could be over just the stress and strain your illness has on your body or your chronic symptoms, anything like that. Whatever that chronic stress is, it is causing your cortisol levels to rise. And then whenever cortisol rises, it causes your blood sugar to spike. It could also be something like you're not sleeping well and you're feeling very fatigued. This is causing you to crave carbs, which is again going to spike your blood sugar. You could also be having nutrient gaps. Maybe you're on a really restrictive diet because you're having so many different food sensitivities, or you're trying some kind of specific diet, or maybe you're just really struggling with like a lack of appetite or something like that. Or maybe you're eating properly, but your body is struggling to break down those nutrients. And so you are finding that you have some deficiencies in certain nutrients. This can actually cause insulin resistance to be worse as well. The other thing could be just the stress, go, rushing through life, going to be causing that stress, put us in that fight or flight state, which of course is going to raise cortisol levels, also going to spike blood sugar, and also cause the body to store fat. So just know you're not alone. I mean, so many of us, I think, can say, hey, this is exactly what my life looks like. Everyone, or at least nearly everyone, experiences some level of metabolic imbalance. And this is what it looks like a lot of times. This is where it starts a lot of times. And so often, we're really struggling just because of our life. It may not be solely what we're eating. It could be part of that, but it also could just be our lifestyle. Okay, so let's talk about some ways that we can really start to work to gently bring more balance back to our bodies. Again, we're going to focus on gentle ways. The first thing would be to focus on those blood sugar balancing meals. So what I like to do is I will start with some kind of a veggie. First and foremost, I like to do like a salad or broccoli or carrots or something like that with like a healthy fat. And then I will do my protein after that. If I decide that I want to do a carb, I can eat that after that. Glucose Goddess is actually, she has books. You can also find her on Instagram. She is who I got this tip from, and I have been really working on implementing this for a couple of years, and I have found it to be helpful. So I'm going to say again, start with some kind of an appetizer that is a vegetable, salad, whatever you like. Salad, it could be carrots, it could be broccoli, it could be, I also like sugar snap peas. Those are kind of my go-to things. Pair it with a healthy fat, which is going to help to keep you full, and then add in that protein. I personally shoot for around 30 grams of protein at a meal. That's just my personal goal. You can kind of read up and see what you think works best for you. And then remember, this is going to keep you from your blood sugar balance, which is going to mean you're going to have fewer crashes. You're also going to have more steady energy, which is going to be less moody, less irritable, all of that. And then I find that it also keeps me fuller longer, and it also really takes down any kind of craving that I might have. Okay, another tip 2, is actually another one that I also learned from Glucose Goddess, and that is to move after eating. Even taking a 10-minute walk after meals can be very, very beneficial. It could be walking around your kitchen or in your living room. It could be walking in place while you're, doing some kind of like the kids play, or you're watching a show or anything like that. The other thing I will do is if I can't walk, then I will do like 20 or 30 squats. And I have found that to be helpful too. Whenever we are moving our body afterwards, it's going to help to lower our blood sugar naturally. So we're activating those muscles, and it's going to help to use up all of that sugar that we've taken in our meal, which is, of course, going to help to kind of lower that spike and blunt the spike, really, so that our body can handle that better. And again, just keep in mind, it doesn't have to be perfect. Aim for 10 minutes, aim for, 30 squats, whatever it is, but just get your body moving and make sure that you're activating those muscles. Okay, number 3 is going to be to manage your stress intentionally. Stress is something we talk about a lot on this podcast. Of course, we always talk about we can't avoid stress, but how can we find a way to close that stressful gap and go back into restoring? Like, we don't want to just stay in that chronic stress state. We want to go all the way through the cycle and come back to where we can begin to restore and reset. So we know that chronic stress is going to equal chronically raised cortisol, which is going to keep your blood sugar high. if you can take, just a few minutes, like we talk about those 5-minute check-ins, those 3-minute check-ins where we're resetting our body, we're checking in, where do we feel the stress in our body? Can we take some deep breaths and release that stress? Can we just take it 10 deep breaths, even if we're driving in the vehicle? And that is a good way for us to, we just have to work with where we're at. But maybe I'm feeling really stressed and I'm driving, so I just take 10 deep breaths. Praying, journaling, sitting quietly, talking with a friend. All of those things are also great ways that we can manage our stress in really simple, small habits that I find that can be really easy to stick with consistently. Of course, balancing our blood sugar is also going to help manage our stress response. So all of these things work together. That's the thing I want to encourage you about, is to remember that all of these things build upon one another. We're looking for micro habits that are going to build up over time to help us to finally feel better again. So just keep in mind, when you're looking at this managed stress, how can I intentionally manage my stress? How can I build in, 90 seconds, 5 minutes a day, or maybe it's, not a day, start with once a day, build up to doing it 3 times a day, where I am setting aside time to make sure that I am regulating my body, getting myself out of that fight or flight, and lowering my stress levels. We want to make sure we are constantly sending back signals to our nervous system that we are safe, that we can relax, so that our body can finally heal because it's coming out of that chronic stress state. Okay, so let's go over it again. First and foremost, focus on blood sugar balancing meals. The veggie, the protein, or the veggie with the healthy fat, the protein, and then if you have a carb afterwards, saving that to the end. After that, moving after you've eaten your meal. 10 minutes of walking, 30 squats, whatever it is that you need to do. And then 3, we're going to be doing managing our stress, doing those check-ins with our body, the resets. I will post an episode that I shared about that reset that we talked about, the 5-minute reset that you could start adding into your day. Okay, so what I want you to do this week is just pick one of these steps. Like I said, we don't want to go too big because often that sets us up for failure. So what is one thing that you can do this week and then build on from there? Maybe it's that you're going to start making sure consistently that you are having a healthy breakfast. In my opinion, and we'll talk about this in another episode, but starting with a healthy blood sugar balancing breakfast is the best thing you can do for your day to stabilize your energy, to reduce cravings, and really just to set your day off on the right foot. So avoiding carbs is typically what I would recommend, and focusing on protein and healthy fats is great for breakfast. And then, of course, so focus on that. How can I start adding in those blood sugar balancing meals? Start with one meal. Focus on one meal a day this week. Or it could be that you're going to say, I'm going to pick one meal a day this week where I'm going to take a short walk or do 30 squats afterwards. Or it could be that you're going to listen to that episode I mentioned and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to start doing this 5-minute reset once a day. And then just pay attention to your body. Notice if you see any shifts in cravings, in energy, in your mood. And then I find that being able to really be in tune with our body, 1, it helps us to be able to advocate for ourselves. But 2, it also really gives us that encouragement because we become more sensitive to realizing when things are off, but also whenever we are seeing those positive changes, which gives us that momentum and that motivation to keep moving forward. Okay, so keep in mind the goal of all of this is that we are trying to give our body these small, consistent changes that are going to remind it that it is safe to heal without any kind of extremes or crazy diets required. All right, friends, I hope that this episode helped you. If it did, I would love to hear from you. Come email me or find me on social media and let me know how it is going for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you back next time. Hey friend, I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, would you take a minute to share it with another mom who's struggling with chronic symptoms? And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to me to know this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to go tackle those snack requests, and remember that a short walk, even if the kids turn it into a race, still counts as self-care. Keep chasing those little wins, even when it feels messy, you're making progress. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. I'm not a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to treat or diagnose any condition. You're the expert on your body. Listen to it and reach out to a trusted provider for support.